Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my G.F.W. Impact Wrestling review for August 24th, 2017. And I'm just going to get right into this. We had Jeremy Borash and Josh Matthews on commentary for this show. And the show kicks right off, showing footage from the previous episode of Lashley and all of his MMA top guys, I think they called them or something. Getting into like a screaming altercation with Jeff Jarrett, and then eventually they get into a screaming altercation with James Storm, which didn't really make any sense considering the fact that he's supposed to be injured and he was backstage, so that didn't really make any sense to me. So that was weird. Then later on, we see that Lashley arrives with the MMA guys, but the owner of the MMA stuff and Jeff Jarrett get into another argument, and this was earlier in the day. I really didn't care for this. This gets it down. It was dumb. And then we show another video from earlier today with Jim Cornette talking to all of the Impact Wrestling roster, or the GFW roster, I should have said. And he tells them that this gauntlet match, you should give it everything you got, because no one's going to sit around and think that they're worth more and not get opportunities. You guys are going to earn your shots in GFW from this point going forward. And I like this. I thought it was a very good promo. He mentions how Lashley is late, so he's going to get fined for it. And overall, I thought this was a great promo. And he tells everybody to go out there and wrestle your hearts out and prove to me why you deserve to be the best in the world and the next global world heavyweight champion. So I like this promo segment, gets it up. Then we had the actual show itself. We had the first match on the show was a tag team match. It was OVE versus the Head Seekers, and I don't even know who was in the Head Seekers. I don't even think they said. But OVE pretty much dominated this match. I thought they looked very impressive in this match, though. And OVE get the win with the double kicks combo for the win. They call it the dual high and low kicks. And it was very quick. It was a quick match. And I love OVE so far as a team. I think eventually they'll probably be #1 contenders to the GFW Unified World Tag Team Championships, and I'd be fine with that. So overall, this gets enough. If I had to rate the match, I'll give it 2.25 stars. Then next, Jim Cornette's backstage on the phone, and Eli Drake and Chris Adonis come up to him, and Eli Drake tries to butter him up, but Jim Cornette then realizes that that's what he's trying to do, so he realizes he wants his number changed for the Gauntlet for Gold match, and Eli Drake wants his number changed, so Jim Cornette changes his number from #1 to #2, if Eli Drake leaves him alone. Overall, I enjoyed this. I thought this was actually a pretty entertaining segment. Gets it up. Then we had the next segment. It was Taryn Terrell coming out and explaining why she attacked Gail Kim and cost her the Knockouts Championship. And it was the dumbest reason. She said that she showed up for Gail Kim's Hall of Fame induction. And didn't get a simple thank you, and pretty much she dropped her off the face of the earth. And has walked away and abandoned this Knockouts division just like she abandoned her, and she's going to do the same thing to her husband after she opens all this restaurants and stuff, which really didn't make any sense considering the fact that Taryn Terrell abandoned the division as well. And this was just a dumb promo. I was pretty certain that Taryn Terrell was going to have some sort of wardrobe malfunction with the way she was wearing it, and then Gail Kim tries to run out and attack her, but Jeremy Borash holds her back. And this segment sucked. Ironically enough, this was one of my favorite feuds in GFW back in 2013, and yeah, strangely enough, it still sucks. So this was a down. I should have said now it sucks. So it's just strange how 5 years can make a lot of differences with woes and stuff like that. So I didn't like this at all. Not really a good thing I like to see Gail Kim go out in. Then we had another promo segment where each guy talks about how they're going to win the Gauntlet for Gold match. Guys like EC3, Aretha Carter III, Moose, Lashley, Loki, and they cut pretty good promos. I like the promos they were cutting. Loki was talking about how he should have already had his title shot, and everybody else that's in the match, you know, really didn't deserve the spot. EC3 says he's going to win the match because he's in the match, and he makes fun of everybody else that was in it. Moose says that he's ready to be champion. Lashley says that he shouldn't have ever lost the title to begin with. He should already be the champion. So I like this. It was good. And then Lashley goes backstage with all of his MMA friends, and he's upset that Jim Cornette interrupted Bruce Pritchard, awarded him the G.F.W. Global World Heavyweight Championship, and then Jim Cornette says, "Is that really how you win and won a title?" He gets into an altercation with the MMA guys for interfering and choking out the referee, and everybody just kind of yells at each other, saying that Lashley really doesn't need to be here, and yeah, it was lame. I'll give this like a thumbs in the middle, though, because I thought Jim Cornette was very well here, and I didn't hate the altercation they had. I just didn't really care about this Lashley storyline. Then we had the segment where Grado came out and said goodbye to everybody from America. He came out, he talked about all his stuff, and said goodbye to everybody. He talked about how he was upset that he failed to be able to stay in America. Joseph Paul gets on the mic and tells him that he apologizes for failing him, and said that my dad used to have a saying, or it was his uncle, I forget exactly who it was, when you're down, there you go, which I thought was funny. I do like Joseph Polk, actually, though. And then Grado says he's going to miss all of the fast food stuff, pretty much all the junk food that's in America. And then eventually he says goodbye, and then says cheerio in Scotland. But then Laurel Van Ness comes out, and she's all cleaned up now, and actually looks good. And she comes out, and she talks about how Grado helped her get her life back together, and she realized that Grado is the peanut butter to her jelly, and she kind of makes a lot of food references that really would go together. So she proposes. Grado says yes. I did like the way Joseph Polk was acting, but overall this segment wasn't very good. And then what happens is Congo Khan comes out to beat up Grado, but then Muhabla Shira pops out from out of nowhere and scares Congo Khan away. And this segment had all types of bad in it. What still doesn't make any sense about Grado's storyline is he's trying to marry a Canadian, and she's not from the United States, so it really doesn't work. So it just, this definitely didn't make me miss not watching GFW Impact Wrestling. So there you go. Then we had the next segment. Jim Cornette and Eddie Edwards are talking backstage, and he talks about how they knew each other from way back when, and talked about how he worked in Boston with an injured arm, and he said that he's watched professional wrestling for 45 years, and that he thought he had the biggest heart of anybody he's been in the wrestling business, and he says that you go out there and you win that global world title tonight. And he even talked about, too, well, he's apologized that he doesn't have a good number, so that was obviously setting up to something. And then LAX was backstage, and they were talking about how they have all the gear packed up at the club, and Conan was talking about how Loki's going to destroy everyone tonight and win the world title. It was an alright segment, thumbs in the middle. And the Jim Cornette Eddie Edwards segment gets a thumbs up. And then it shows a Jim Cornette interview from last week talking about how Anthem really didn't know how to consult with the professional wrestlers, so that's what he is for. He's here to solve the problems. And he said that he was told to fire Bruce Pritchard because everybody thought he was a problem. So I like Jim Cornette's interview getting up. And then Karen Jarrett has an interview, and she says that she's happy to see Bruce Pritchard go, and she thinks that the knockouts division is going to get interesting. I didn't like Caitlyn Jarrett's promo. Gets it down. And then we had the Gauntlet for Gold match. Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake entered in number 1. They kind of went after they kind of went at it for a while. Mario Baccara, I never even heard of this guy before, comes in number 3, and he kind of goes at it with everybody for a while. Eddie Kingston comes in number 4. Braxton Sutter comes in number 5. Standby wrestler Richard Justice comes in, and he was entertaining here. He kind of really didn't know what to do. So he kind of did some sit-ups and stuff, tried to help out all the wrestlers, but nobody was having it. And then EC3 comes in number 7, and he teases working together with Richard Justice, and he ends up shaking hands with him, but ends up eliminated him. And he kind of took an awkward bump getting out, which I thought was funny. And then Congo Khan was number 8, and he eliminates Mario Baccara and Eddie Kingston. And then Suicide comes in number 9, and Suicide hits a trust fall right onto everybody, and he tries to go after, and he starts hitting some nice offense on everybody. He tries to go after Congo Khan. Congo Khan immediately shuts him down. And then Wahab Shira comes in number 10. He eliminates Congo Khan. Chris Adonis comes in number 11, and him and Eli Drake end up eliminating Wahab Shira. And then El Hijo del Fantasma, or best known as King Quano in Lucha Underground, comes in number 12. Johnny Impact comes in number 13, which they tried to make it seem like they were going to hype up this surprise wrestler, and I really wasn't surprised here, considering the fact that they had announced that Johnny Impact was going to debut, and he hadn't shown up on the show yet, so I just kind of realized, and you'll see it in my live reactions, that he was just going to end up debuting anyway, so this really didn't make any sense. And he eliminates, actually, he had some really good moves in this match. He hits a drop kick on Chris Adonis, a standard Spanish fly on Eli Drake, and then he hits a lot of his cool hot hardcore stuff, and he ends up eliminating Chris Adonis and Suicide. Then number 14 was Graza Jr. He teases like he's going to take his pants off, but then he eliminates Braxton Sutter. And then Fala Bala was number 15, and there was a spot in this match where, I don't think it had happened yet, where everybody tries to work together to take him out, and Johnny Impact and everybody else is clawing for EC3 to join him, but then he just ends up going underneath the rim, which I thought was funny. And then KM enters number 16. Taijiri Ishimori enters number 17. Lashley enters number 18. He eliminates KM, Fala Bala, and Ishimori. That was cool, I guess. Moose comes in number 19, and he eliminates Raza Jr. He gets a wicked powerbomb on him, just eliminating him right outside the rim, which was cool. Right onto KM and Fala Bala. And then Low-Key came in number 20, and yeah, he eliminates El Hijo. Actually, no, EC3 ends up eliminating El Hijo del Fantasma because Fantasma was going off on him, but then he counters into a TKO and eliminates him. And then I believe it came down to the final 6 at this point. Actually, no, it didn't. So then EC3 and Moose had gone at it for a while, and eventually Moose and EC3 had Moose and Eddie Edwards hit a super kick double enziguri onto EC3. So then it's down to the final 6. Low-Key, Lashley, Johnny Impact, Eli Drake. I'm kind of drawing a blank on who else was in this match. There was 4. There was the final 6. So I said... Actually, no, I was wrong. The final 6 were EC3, Low-Key, Lashley, Moose, Johnny Impact, and Eddie Edwards. But then EC3 got eliminated, so it was down to the final 5. And everybody went at it for a while. Moose ended up eliminating Lashley. which kind of tied into later on in the show. And then Johnny Impact and Eddie Edwards eliminated Moose. And then it's down to the final three: Eli Drake, Johnny Impact, and Eddie Edwards. And Johnny Impact kept trying to eliminate Eli Drake, and then he ended up Eli Drake went to charge at him. He went through the middle rope, but Johnny Impact had gone over. So Eli Drake pulls out Johnny Impact from the underneath the ring, which I thought was cool. And then the match is down to Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards, the two guys that started the match. And at this point, it just turns into a regular one-on-one match. So Eddie Edwards hits a suicide dive on the outside. He goes for the Boston Knee Party. Eli Drake counters it into, and goes for a Celtic Cross. But Edwards counters into a roll-up. Drake kicks out. Drake goes for a leaping belly-to-belly suplex, but then Eddie Edwards counters it. He ends up missing a crossbody and hitting a Celtic Cross. Eli Drake hits a Celtic Cross and Eddie Edwards for the win, and he becomes the new global World Heavyweight Champion. And Chris Adonis comes out to celebrate with him, but before he can really celebrate, the MMA guys choke out that referee again for really no reason. And this causes Lashley and Jeremy Borash to have to get off commentary and yell at him. And I didn't like this too much. It kind of took away from the moment of Eli Drake winning the Global World Championship, so I really didn't like that. So that would get it down. But the Gauntlet for Gold match itself, I thought was decent. That would get an up. And I like this overall. Eli Drake, I think, definitely deserved to hold that title. He was somebody that really wasn't really granted much of an opportunity in the business. And then eventually when he came to Impact Wrestling, he eventually, obviously was just part of that Rising group, I remember. And then eventually, once he turned heel, he really started to become entertaining. And I'm pretty entertained by Eli Drake. I think he deserves to be the Global World Champion. And I think he's probably the number 3 guy, well, at least was the number 3 heel in G.F.W. Around this time anyways, because I would say if you asked me who the 3 top heels were, it was probably Lashley, then EC3, then probably Eli Drake. So I think it makes most of sense, if any. They weren't going to put the title on EC3 since he already was the Impact Grand Champion. And then obviously with Lashley, I think they have a different storyline going on with him, so there would really be no reason to put the belt on him. So whatever. But I like Eli Drake, so I actually think he's going to make a good global World Heavyweight Champion. But that's my review of Impact Wrestling for August 24th, 2017. Overall, I thought this was a very average show. I expected this a lot more, but really, if you take out the Gauntlet match, really nothing significant you really needed to see. The Gauntlet match really wasn't anything special anyways. It had a lot of jabronis in it, like Fala Bala, Graza Jr., Eddie Kingston, who I don't even know the last time he was on TV. Braxton Sutter, who really wasn't really done much, so really nothing really to see in the Gauntlet for Gold match. But the best stuff on the show was Jim Cornette, and he's not even the current talent on the show, so that's pretty sad. So, yeah, average show, 5 out of 10. I would say that fails. But that's pretty much my review. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time you upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and On the Talkinator YouTube channel. And I forgot to mention, I don't know how I forgot, but also make sure to tune in to the Wrestling Rundown tomorrow at 8 o'clock, because I'm the champion on that show, and you're going to see probably a big rant on Raw, and I'm going to be talking about the news of WWE going to Fox. So make sure you guys check that out, and that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.